Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mukosha and I'm so glad to be here. You know what, yesterday I sat down and I filmed a video, and at the end of it I discovered I had the settings up all wrong, and it was about 40 minutes. Yeah. So here I am doing it again. I found a way to sort of like reverse the settings, but I just wasn't happy with it anyway. So let me just do it all over again. I'm in the office right now, but I've just cleared up some time to do this because I'm trying to be consistent on the channel. So today's video I decided to give some tips based off of my own weight loss journey. Last week I shared a video of how I had documented like an entire month of what I did to lose weight, and I lost 10 kg. Those who haven't watched it, you could just go and check it out. And I received a lot of feedback. It was very overwhelming and so encouraging to hear from some of you guys, and some people were asking me for some tips because they wanted to know more about exactly what I did. So I thought I could sit down and give a few tips. And after that, at the end of this video, I have a special guest who's joining me, and it's my husband. So we've been doing the carnivore diet together, and a month into the diet, I decided to interview him on how it had been for him and so on. So those who are interested, especially the guys, feel free to go and watch that as well. So tip number one, I'll be looking down this way because I do have some notes. I didn't want to forget anything. So tip number one, if you are trying to lose weight, for me, I think is to be open to unlearn. And what I mean is, you know how we've grown up, you are born and then you sort of just go in line with what society deems as normal, and that's how we build our eating patterns, mostly based off of how our families have been eating and things like that. So for example, for me, I remember I grew up in a home where breakfast was, the standard was like 4 slices of bread, and then you would have your tea with sugar, and that was your breakfast. Of course, once in a while we would have like some margarine on that bread, and that was a luxury. Or sometimes, very rarely, you would get maybe an egg as well, and that was a rare occurrence, but that was the breakfast that I got accustomed to. And it was almost like a normal thing where you wake up and you're looking forward to drinking your tea and having that bread, sometimes maybe even fritters or buns, but it was very carb heavy. And now excuse me, now as I'm going through this journey and researching, I've come to unlearn that particular type of breakfast because I've realized it's not the best to have very high carbs, especially for your breakfast, because it shoots your insulin levels very high, and you get a glucose spike, and then eventually you lose energy so fast, and before you know it, you're already thinking about what am I going to be having for lunch. So it puts you it puts you in a place where you're constantly thinking about food. You eat your breakfast, you have your glucose spike, very shortly after you're hungry again, you're thinking about what am I going to eat and things like that. So I've had to unlearn that, and I've had to let go of the carbohydrates. I've had to learn that actually a human being can survive very well and actually have a better quality of life without eating these carbohydrates. And so I've taken them out of my diet. So that's number one. And number two goes hand in hand with the unlearning, and it's basically to do your own research before you get onto any journey. If you want to try a carnivore diet like me, I would advise that you actually go and read extensively about the diet. And I mean, nowadays with technology, you don't even need to read if you don't want to. On YouTube here is where I've found a lot of very useful people, very useful doctors who take time to teach about the carnivore diet and how it works, and even keto if carnivore is not for you. Things like keto or any low carb diet out there, I would advise that you actually take time to read about it, just understand it. I'll give a funny story. So the first time I ever tried keto, I can't remember which year it was, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. So I had just read on the surface. I didn't go too deep into the literature about it. So I read it was a very high fat diet. So me, I had interpreted that to mean you just need to fry your food, like eat more fried food. And I remember going home and I literally put so much oil in a pan and I fried up some vegetables. I think there was some eggplant, some carrots, I can't remember what else, some onions. But I used so much oil that when I was eating, I gagged and I was like, this diet is not for me. But you see, I made a mistake in assuming that when they say high fat, then it means you need to go and fry it up. In fact, I used the wrong oil because much later on now when I was getting back, and I quit by the way, but much later on when I was coming back to the keto diet, then I read a little bit more, I did a bit more research, and I discovered firstly the oil I used, which is like these normal vegetable seed oils that we use here in Zambia. They are not good for you. They are very inflammatory. They are very bad for your body, and so you need to cook with things like beef fat, which is called beef tallow, or pork fat, which is called lard, or things like extra virgin olive oil, or even ghee, which is like an animal product as well. So I read about that, and then I discovered when they say eat high fat, it doesn't mean go and like drench your food in oil and then eat it, because you're going to gag. So the high fat, now I love having my fat in meat, because I mean I'm a carnivore now for the most part, so I eat a lot of fatty meat, and I love to like charcoal grill it and then get the flames out and all of that. And when the fat is scorched up with the flames, it tastes so delicious. You don't even gag. It's so beautiful, and that's what I eat now. So yeah, do your research and figure out what would likely work for you, because what works for me might not work for you. So do your research, ease your way in, find something that looks appealing and go with it. The third tip is understand your why. Understand why you're doing the diet in the first place, because I feel like having that sort of internal dialogue, asking yourself questions about why do I want to change my lifestyle, why do I want to lose weight, it always helps to keep you on track. Because for me right now, for example, I've told you guys the story of how I was diagnosed with hypertension and the doctor tried to write me a prescription, and for me that was a wake-up call. I said I can't be having these health problems, and so I went on a search to find ways in which I could reverse this condition naturally, and I found a way. So firstly, I did intermittent fasting, as you guys know. By I think the first month of just doing intermittent fasting, the very basic one where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat for 8 hours, I was already getting very normal blood pressure readings. And then eventually, like I told you, because I wasn't losing so much weight, I was still eating a lot of carbs. I would eat the nshima, I would eat rice, potatoes, and all of those things. So I had only lost 3 kg on intermittent fasting and the normal diet for I think a period of about 3 months or so. My weight had just stopped dropping. So eventually I said I'm going to take it up a notch, and I started to eliminate the carbohydrates. So then I then lost a lot of weight. I've even lost my train of thought. Okay, I was talking about understanding why you're doing it. So for me, it was for health reasons. I don't want to have these conditions like hypertension. I don't want to have diabetes. So I set out to educate myself on what causes these conditions so that I could stay away from them, because I mean, after losing my mother and seeing the situation in the hospitals, I wouldn't want to find myself in that situation, or anyone else for that matter. And so that keeps me on track. That knowledge, that understanding of where I am and where I'm trying to be, it keeps me on track. Even when I think about cheating, I just remember that I am doing this for my health. And when I look at myself now, I have very normal blood pressure readings. I feel so great. I no longer abuse medication, and all of these things keep me going. So even for you, ask yourself, why do you see a need to change your lifestyle? Because everything starts up here in the head. If your head is not convinced about why you're doing something, trust me, once because when you quit carbohydrates, you're going to suffer. You're going to get a keto flu for about some days, or even a week or two sometimes. And it's very hard, such that if your mental fortitude is not on point, you are going to quit. But when you tell yourself, you convince your head, your mind, everything in your body knows why you're doing this, you will not quit. So I feel like that's a good place to start. The next tip is be patient with yourself. I know I've shared how I've lost 10 kg in a month, how I lost it, but don't think you have the same journey as me, because we have very different bodies, things work differently in our bodies. So be patient with yourself, and eventually you will see the results. You might end up losing much more than I did in a month. Maybe you'll lose 15 kgs in a month. That's great. Maybe you lose a little less than I did, but just be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace. And this one actually comes hand in hand with another tip that I have, which is love yourself through the process. And this is what I did. I didn't want to go into this process hating on myself. Like, yeah, I didn't like my body at all. I've told you guys, I didn't like where my body got. I just had fat in the wrong places. I was hiding away in my maternity clothes. I actually insert a picture here because today I was looking back and I found a picture where I was wearing one of my maternity dresses because I just didn't like how my body looked. But today my outfits, I'm even tucking in for the first time in a long time, and I'm wearing a belt. Like, I've retraced my waistline. It's so amazing. I'll put a picture. It's so amazing. But it hasn't happened in a day. It hasn't happened overnight. For me, this is my 3rd month now on carnivore, and this is when I'm seeing some of these results. Collectively now, I think I've lost 15 kgs. The first 10 kgs came out very quickly in the first month, but then after that, I saw that it slowed down a bit. And there's a whole scientific explanation as to why this might happen. Maybe your body is thinking we're going through a tough time, we need to reserve our resources and all of this. It has to take until your body understands that no, we are not going through a tough time, we've just had a lifestyle shift, that the fat starts to come off again. So I found that after the first month, it was a bit slower to lose the weight, but I'm patient. I know I did not gain all that weight overnight. It didn't happen in a day or two or a week or so. It happened so gradually over time, and to a point where now I would look at myself in the mirror and I would be like, when did I get this big? Sometimes, excuse me. Sometimes it would take, maybe I'm from doing my hair, and then I ask my sister to say, could you please take a picture of me? And then she takes a picture of me, like, sideways at the back. And then when I'm looking at the pictures, I'm like, what? This is my body now? How did we get here? Yeah, so I'm patient. I'm very patient, and my only tip to you is be patient. If you're doing it consistently, you're doing it correctly, the results will come. And sometimes the scale is not the best measure. The best measure sometimes is just by how your body feels, how your clothes are fitting, and things like this. So be patient, love yourself, and everything is going to turn out fine. The next tip is stick to your budget. Don't be out here trying to go and buy those fancy things, because in our stores now you'll find some fancy things labeled keto or banting or low carb, and they tend to be pricey. Some of them are spices, some of them are like, oh, banting or keto barbecue sauce and things like this. You don't need all that stuff. You just need the basics. For me right now, I just eat meat, and then I eat salt with my meat, and then I drink water. I also eat eggs. Once in a while I eat pork. Ever since we started carnivore, we've discovered we really don't like pork that much anymore. I don't know why, but we do eat bacon. Like, bacon tastes great, so that's the only pork we eat. Sometimes we'll eat fish, and other times we'll eat liver, because liver is so nutrient dense, guys. The amount of vitamins and nutrients in your liver, it's way more than you can ever find in a vegetable. This is what I have learned now. So, and now I've actually been craving chicken feet. I've been craving them. One day I'll go to a shop and just buy and cook them, because they are so good. They have collagen and they are not that expensive. You can eat beef offals, like literally any kind of meat you can take your hands on, any meat you can afford, some ground beef, some minced meat, as long as it's got a good amount of fat, like, eat it. That's all you need. You don't need to buy any supplements. You don't need to buy you don't need to buy any fancy stuff. So stick to your budget. It doesn't have to be expensive, and hit your goals. Yeah. Next tip is, don't expect outside validation. The first place where you should get firstly validation from yourself. When you know you're doing something which is right and it's leading you in the correct direction, celebrate your wins. Don't wait for other people to tell you, because trust me, some people are only good at pointing out the worst in you. They are not good at all at noting when there's some positive change. For example, there are some people who, when I gain weight, they go like, hey, why nah? Like that type of negativity. But when you lose weight, some of them don't have it in them to come, oh, you look great, you've lost weight. Some people don't. In fact, other people will even tell, hey, wayonda wadwala, are you sick or something? Like, there's so much negativity. So be your own source of positive energy. Don't wait for oh, when people start telling me I've lost weight, then I'll feel good. Nope, don't do that. In fact, I remember when I lost the first 10 kgs, guys, I was so happy. I went to a store and I bought myself a suit. I think I'll also put a picture here. I bought this suit when I was celebrating that I had lost 10 kgs, and now that I've lost a further 5 kg, it's actually starting to feel a little bit loose, but not too much. It still looks great. So we'll see how we move with that, but it's so great. So celebrate your wins. You hit a milestone, go and take yourself to eat your favorite meal. For example, for me, I love, and this is not an advert, by the way, I just love to speak about the things that I love. So I love Ten and Tender meat. Like, that place is so great. It's a bit pricey, but if I want to celebrate, for example, I'll just go to Ten and Tender, buy myself a cut of meat called a ribeye, have it done American style with some butter and some salt, and then I'll eat some sweet potato as well with it, because they serve it with that if you want. and then some spinach, some butternut. Like, I celebrate my wins. So on that day, I'll be like, I'm going to splurge today because I feel good. Don't wait for other people to make you feel good. Because I actually received a question one of these days after I posted the video. Someone was saying to me, what do you do if your partner doesn't is not on board with what you're trying to do? That they tell you, in a nafuna dumbo, in a sinfuna oyo and stuff like that. So I was thinking that's just a very toxic way to look at life. And for me, I'm glad that I have a husband who has been so supportive through this journey. He has loved me through it all. He has reminded me of my goals and where I want to be on days where I have forgotten. And that's how I hope it could be. But if you happen to have either a partner who is not supportive or a family that think you are losing your mind by stopping to eat certain things, then I would advise, don't broadcast your journey. Try and keep it to yourself. Do it very silently. You can just maybe buy a few food items for yourself, and then when people are offering you certain bad foods, just politely say, oh no thank you, I already ate. Oh no thank you, I don't feel so great. Like, just do it for yourself, because I'm a huge believer in doing what makes you happy. Above anything else, do what makes you happy. Life is so short, and I know everyone says this all the time. Even I used to think, that's just a cliche, but now I totally understand it. After losing my mother and then being in an accident, I made a video about this. Me, my young sister, and our 2 kids, we were involved in an accident which would have gone the opposite direction, and we're like, like, you can lose your life just like that, but then did you live the life that you wanted? You can lose your life so easily, like within a blink of an eye, but it would be such a waste to lose your life and then, like, you didn't make use of your talents, you didn't do what made you happy, because maybe you were living for someone else. And for me, this is why now I've even opened this YouTube channel, because I feel like it makes me happy. It makes me happy to do this. In fact, my niece was asking me the other day, how do you handle everything with the work, the kids and what, and now YouTube? I told her, for me, YouTube doesn't feel like a job. For me, it's so fulfilling. It makes me happy. Like, it's my outlet, it's my creative outlet. So even when I sit and I record a video which is out of focus, it doesn't bother me so much to sit down and do it all over again, if you know what I mean, because it makes me happy. And it's something I'm also doing for my kids, for anyone out there wanting to make a change in their lives, and it makes me happy. So do what makes you happy. If you have decided you don't like how your body is, you don't like how you are feeling in terms of how your health is doing, and you want to make a change, don't listen to any negativity. Just block it out and do what makes you happy. Yeah. And then okay, so it looks like we've covered most of the tips. Yeah, I can't remember anything else right now, but if I do, I will definitely keep on sharing. Yeah, so now I have the interview that I had with my husband, and it was so much fun. I'll let you guys watch that. And please keep the feedback coming. Leave your comments down below. Those who haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. We're trying to create a community here where we can talk about our fears, our achievements, our goals with our weight loss, our cravings, our sugar addictions. Because, by the way, and this is another thing. The other day when I edited the how I lost 10 kgs in a month video, someone said to me, the way you said that, me, I love sugar, I'm a sweet tooth. You made it so light. you should emphasize that you're actually a junkie. So yeah, let me make that declaration here, guys. When I say I'm a sweet tooth, it's not just like any other sweet tooth who is able to control their cravings. For me, it's so bad. Like, I'm literally a junkie. I would be sitting here in the office after having lunch, and my mind, it's almost like how when I watch movies and they're describing people who have drug addictions, how they behave. Like, they'll be so anxious, so desperate for a fix. That's how I feel until I drive out of here, go and find a joint where they sell some very nice cake, cookies, brownies, and I love like the super dark looking ones, the chocolate ones, like that Matilda type of cake. Oh yeah, like that stuff, that's my weakness. So I'm a junkie, but now with this particular diet, it's fixed me. I can talk about that and my mouth isn't watering. I can talk about that, and after I cut this video, I won't be out of here driving to some place to eat that. I'll sit here and I'll work, and it's fixed me up. So if you're someone like me who is struggling with those cravings, when you go very low carb, it fixes all your cravings. You will no longer be a junkie. Yeah, let me let you watch this video. Bye.
How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you liking our date drive?
I'm loving it.
Okay.
What's your favorite thing about it so far?
Company, your company.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's always enjoyable, it's always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about each and everything and nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Just existing.
Just existing.
And talking about the proper human diet.
Yep. PhD. If you can't relate with each other like a caveman,
Mm-hmm.
you are not in a marriage, you are not in a relationship. Please break up. Divorce her.
Baby, is that necessary? Yeah, is that necessary? Let me test this fly. Has it gone?
Please, if you are not relating with her like a caveman,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean a caveman in all aspects.
Yeah, anyway, baby, before we get to that, tell me about your experience on the carnivore diet. We've been doing this for a month now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful experience.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I want to tell you, the first few days,
Mm-hmm.
you go to the bathroom, there's not even passing gas. You cannot afford to pass gas when you're on carnivore.
In the first few days,
You cannot. Yeah.
you have to be suspicious.
You have to be suspicious of any issue. Yeah. If you love passing gas, please wear a diaper. Okay, but the mental clarity, I love it. I love not eating now each and every now and then. Yeah.
Baby, when would you say you noticed the mental clarity?
I would say like the second week. Yeah, the second week. That's when I had the proper experience. Yeah, the second week where all the hunger has gone. Because remember, you can also get mental clarity when you have all these struggles like, hey, I'm adapting to this is new to me. You can't have any mental clarity at that point. But I think the second week, yeah.
And also, how would you, because look, when people think about the idea of eating mostly meat or only meat, they think, do you really get full? Is it satisfying? what has been your experience?
First of all, I don't think I'm the best person to ask that question. I can eat a whole damn cow. I love beef. I love my meat. So this is a song to me, by the way. Like when I heard, hey, you can eat meat without any limitation.
And speaking about meat, and I'm not sure if you are comfortable with me like questioning you about this, but like a few months before we stumbled upon this diet, you were diagnosed with gout. And the doctor told you to stay away from red meat. And I think for about 2 or 3 months, you were so miserable you were not eating red meat until we came across Dr. Ken Berry, who was explaining exactly why gout occurs and exactly what gout is and how it is not in any way associated to red meat, or it should not be blamed on red meat. So just like talk to us about that. How did that make you feel? What has been your process around that?
Yeah, I think that was some good news about first of all, gout is more of an inflammation issue than the amount of meat you are eating. So the trick is eat as much as possible. Don't accept to get inflamed. I feel now like I'm a month. My joints, no gouts, very healthy.
And what have you been eating?
Meat.
What kind of meat?
Red meat. I was living a miserable life. I did no beef. I was feeling all depressed, and then I have a stricture here. The doctor said no red meat for. I'm like, fuck you. But hey, I'm sorry. Oh, 2 people who can kill you: doctors and prawns. Those are the two beings who are trying to eliminate the whole damn human race.
Yeah, all doctors or some doctors.
The majority of doctors. Yeah, I think like in my experience of interaction with doctors, they always insist on don't eat a lot of red meat. Your plate should have carbohydrates. Sorry.
You want me to put for you? For me.
All doctors are always insisting about red meat. Don't eat much red meat. Your plate should have a third of carbohydrates, a third of veggies, a third of meat. Nope. Now you are told the whole plate should be full of meat. Plants, majority of them are poisonous. Possibly if you are driving or you're inside the house, look around you. All the plants you are seeing, they are not edible. And most of them are naturally occurring. What makes you think this manufactured in the lab like kales, spinach, cabbages are healthy? Have you seen a natural growing cabbage? Have you ever seen a natural growing cabbage?
No.
Nope. Plants, allegedly, they are poisonous and they are trying to kill all of us. Yeah, but hey, back to the debate. I've really been enjoying meat.
Yeah.
Meat, I've enjoyed it.
What else?
Meat.
Just meat.
Yeah. Of course, primarily She'll get me a maize compounds in a while, but after that I feel like I've just taken a rat poison.
Baby.
Waiting for my death.
Next time we eat a maize cob, I'll film you.
Please do.
Because you're like,
No, it's just imagining, like it tastes so good.
yeah.
But afterwards, I feel like hey, she wants me to die. She wants me to die.
Baby, and that's the thing, like most of these plants or plant-based foods, some of them tend to be very delicious. Talk about wheat, for example. When they pound it down, now it's a flour,
Chapati.
and then there's chapati, there's cake, you know, all these things, pies, like all these pastries. They are so freaking delicious. But are they really good for us? Who came up with the way we've been eating like 3 meals a day? 3 meals
That's
a day.
actually the most useless thing, let me tell you.
What about in Kenya? Is that thing at 3 meals a day or so?
Yep. Like, you know what we do?
Yeah.
Or like when I was growing up,
Yeah.
in the morning,
Yeah.
or dinner, you cook shima. And then ugali. And then in the morning, there are some leftovers. You take that for breakfast and you are lying to yourself, this is giving me power. Useless.
And maybe for the sake of like our audience here, let me try and explain how different the Kenyan ugali is to the Zambian one, because for me I was so intrigued when we went there in December of 2021, right?
2021,
Yeah. So the Kenyan ugali, it is pretty much cooked like the Zambian ugali, just that it is so hard. You have to cut it with a knife like you are cutting a piece of cake. And I found it so it was like a culture shock for me. However, when you eat it, it tastes so nice, just like the Zambian one. Yeah, so that's the one now. I can imagine in the morning it's even much harder. Because for us here, like we don't make it super hard, but when you keep it overnight, then it becomes like hard. And that's what you used to eat in the morning.
Yep. That's the breakfast. Lying to yourself. I used to love it, by the way. Lying to yourself that it's very healthy.
Yeah.
Let's take a pause. We'll be back.
Yeah.
A minute.